This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lloyd with the CBC Evening News. And our top story: the saga surrounding concerns about environmental issues at the Combermere facility at Waterford continues. And tonight we're hearing a proposal from the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, which it believes is the best option to safeguard teachers and the students. Shane Seeley tells us more.
BSTU President Marianne Redmond again voicing concern about plans to reopen the Combermere facility at Waterford anytime soon. She's today calling for that plant to remain closed for the remainder of the term.
There are only 4 weeks left of the term. Time should be taken to make sure that everything that needs to be done to make sure that that environment is safe needs to be done during that time, and the upcoming 8 weeks holiday vacation if necessary. And when the environment is safe, and only then should teachers and general workers and students be made to return to that compound. That is our position. Our members are not going back until we have seen all the test results and we are satisfied that they will be in a safe environment, and the charges of whom they have duty of care will also be in a safe environment.
And as the Ministry of Education continues its efforts to ready the school for students and staff, teachers were given very specific instructions from the BSTU. Do not return. Instead, report to the headquarters of the ministry.
We made it very clear that if the school had reopened at Waterford today, our members, instead of reporting for work there, would report to work at their headquarters. And as teachers in Barbados, their headquarters is the Ministry of Education.
The BSTU boss now wants an urgent meeting with the Ministry of Education.
There's only been one meeting, and certainly within that time frame, more test results would have come back. We need to know what is really happening. Our members are not going back unless we know what is happening.
So for now, the students will remain here at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic, and that's where the teachers will report for work until the BSTU is convinced that the facility at Waterford is a safe working environment once again. I'm Shane Seeley for CBC News.
Well, thank you, Shane. Tourism officials are looking to make a bigger impact in the U.S. market. This is according to the Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, William Griffith. He was speaking to the media during Caribbean Week in New York last week.
We're growing the U.S. business, so we're talking about new air service. We're talking about improved hotel product and more rooms on the island. We're talking about all the great events, all the culinary festivals and so on. So we're really, really pleased with the feedback.
The occasion gave several Caribbean countries the opportunity to showcase what they have to offer visitors. Mr. Griffith says it is important for tourism-based destinations to have a presence at such events.
There's certainly an upward trend. The economy of the United States, for example, is getting stronger. We are seeing increased demand. We're seeing increased airlift. And I think everyone needs to be on board to capture their fair share of the business.
Well, Barbados appears to be on the verge of a food security crisis. This is according to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Elworth Reed, during the launch of the Barbados Youth Agripreneurship Program. The government initiative, sponsored by the European Union, is aimed at creating practical means of employment for youth entering the agricultural sector. Mr. Reed commended the program while blaming the exclusion of young people in the industry for the island's food security concerns.
I have made it clear on more than one occasion that recent and reliable studies have shown that the greater part of our farming community in Barbados and in the wider Caribbean is over the age of 60. A few years ago it was 58, now it's 60. And if a concerted and serious effort is not made to replenish this greater segment of the farming community, our agriculture sector and our food security in the very near future will be seriously compromised.
Well, the Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, does not agree. He doesn't think it's at crisis level, but he does believe more support must be given to the declining sugar industry, which plays a primary role in supporting the island's agricultural industry.
what has always been essential is that we need to be able to keep costs down within the industry. The only way you can keep costs down in the industry is if you have capacity. The sugar industry certainly is an integral part of that capacity. You cannot afford to lose the industry and expect to keep the cost of inputs to farmers down.
And the Agripreneurship Project includes students from the Barbados Community College, the University of the West Indies, and the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic. Project manager Karine Payne says students will learn to be more innovative. This, he says, will facilitate agricultural growth within the Caribbean.
We're not trying to just simply train participants about agriculture, but we're trying to get them to think about agriculture in a more sustainable and a more modern, sophisticated way so that they can form businesses out of the agricultural sector.
Appointments and conditions of service continue to be the main bones of contention as the government tries to absorb the Customs and Excise Department into the Barbados Revenue Authority. This from former Barbados Workers Union General Secretary Sir Roy Trotman following the latest round of talks at government headquarters today. That meeting included Finance Minister Chris Sinclair, head of the BRA Margaret Sivers, and head of the Civil Service Martin Cox.
We are looking at issues like job descriptions and the conditions of employment that have been given to us. We are studying those and we are putting together further proposals to ensure that by the time the exercise is completed, that parties on all sides are satisfied that we are doing the best for Barbados as a nation, but for the individual workers as well.
Well, Sir Roy says it's way too early to say how many officers will opt not to sign on to the BRA, but adds that some progress has been made.
We have received indications that offers along the lines that we are suggesting will be made, but don't forget that we are still in the process of negotiating options. Options have not yet been offered to anybody, and that is so on our request.
Sir Roy says the next step will be to meet with its members to discuss these issues and the time frame to have the matter resolved as proposed by Minister Chris Sinclair. Well, we'll have more news in just a moment, but first we want to get your take on this question. Should the Combermere School facility remain closed for the rest of the term? You can text yes or no to short code 8111 and we'll have the results for you at the end of our news.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Relive all the action, all the excitement. Get your keepsake copy of the 2015 NAPSAC and BSAC semifinals and finals for $100 each. Watch hours of local athletics as schools compete for gold and bragging rights. Call 467-5538 and place your order now.
Make no mistake, when you're looking for the #1 source of the latest business news in Barbados, the region, and beyond, it has to be The Bottom Line, produced and presented by me, Ryan Broom, every weekday morning on CBC's 94.7 FM at 7:50 a.m. It comes to you with the kind compliments of the Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union Limited, reminding you to save smart and borrow smarter. So remember, make it your business to tune into The Bottom Line, the best source for business news on the radio.
Coming up tomorrow, Tuesday, on Morning Barbados, as we continue the celebration of Heritage Month, we'll talk about the business of heritage. Morris Greenidge will be along to talk about a very, very special Belgrave clan.
Absolutely. And if you have questions for our Growing Trends segment, maybe about the drought affecting or climate change affecting your gardening, Stevenson Skeet will have all the answers, and we'll take a little time for festival flavor. Mikey Mercer will join us tomorrow. That and much more tomorrow on Morning Barbados.
Morning Barbados.
Good morning.
Well, 29 Category 1 hurricane shelters have been declared ready by local officials for the 2015 Atlantic hurricane season. Carrie Hines, the acting director of the Department of Emergency Management, revealed the news after a service at the St. George Parish Church marking the start of the season, which officially got underway last Monday. While expressing confidence in the readiness of the island's shelters, Ms. Hines is reminding Barbadians that those shelters are a last resort.
What we advocate at the national level is for persons to think of their homes as shelters. We encourage you to build the safer building practices, ensure that you retrofit your houses to guard against the various hazards that may visit us here in Barbados. But as well, we have a policy. There's a government policy in place where we have to allocate some level of public shelter to those who may be vulnerable and those who may not be in a position to shelter in their own homes.
Christian entities like Restoration Ministries have been recognized for their work. In fact, Acting Prime Minister Richard Seeley says some of their efforts have taken the pressure off members of Parliament and government. He adds that many continue to play their part by providing monetary support and even counseling. He also says efforts to embrace the community are welcomed.
I think that appreciation of ministry being indelibly connected to community work is something that Durance live and is founded on the very basis, the very principles of this church. So I also should thank you for, on behalf of the Britain Hill and surrounding communities.
Mr. Seeley was speaking at a dedication service for the new Church of Restoration Ministries. In attendance were representatives of the government, the Senate, the opposition, well-wishers from across the globe, and the congregation. The man at the head of Restoration Ministries, Senator Reverend Dr. David Jewett, likened the new facility to that of a birth as it took 9 months to complete. He says they rose from humble beginnings, having to change locations a number of times.
From that insignificant beginning, from that act of faith in walking around this square, we were able to acquire the property and we were able to sign on the dotted line. And today, thank God, we got the land that was here and the old building. Now that old building has been demolished. And of course, the old has to go in order for the new to come.
A former chief town planner wants to see increased residential housing developments in the nation's capital. Through this, Leonard St. Hill says Barbados will ensure life is brought back to historic Bridgetown. Mr. St. Hill says people are needed to breathe life into the city, as noise and celebrations alone won't do it. He shared this view during a lecture organized by the National Library Service. The former chief town planner says there are several areas across Barbados where urban development can take place.
Locations like Spikestown, Holetown, Nestfield, Belt Lane, Welshman Hall, Oyston, 6 Crossroads, 4 Crossroads, Gall Hill. Those are the areas, and even Ealing Grove. These are the areas where we should be having urban expansion to decentralize the concentration that is choking Bridgetown and making it inconvenient for people to live in it and work in it.
Government has not forgotten about the restoration of the Empire Theatre. While not giving an exact time for the start of work at the theatre, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Maxine McLean says the building will be renovated. Her comments came during the launch of the Carry Talent program at the Arrowbarrow Center for Creative Imagination. There, a short film produced by university film students titled Fallen Empire was also shown.
I cannot tell you that you will see the cobwebs removed in the next couple of weeks, but I can tell you there have been ongoing discussions, plans, and it is very much part of an effort to re-energize Bridgetown. And I look forward to the same filmmakers being given first opportunity to capture the changes as they unfold and ultimately the final picture.
Well, today is World Oceans Day, and the students of the Christchurch Girls' School have been left swimming with ideas. This after the Green Team of Sandals Hotel Barbados visited the school to teach the children about the role the ocean plays in preserving life and how it should be protected. Principal Heather Bryan says one of the suggestions from the students to have a beach cleanup is worthy of considering.
Just recently, the Brownies and the Blossoms from the school, they went to the Silver Sands beach and they did the cleaning up over there. So it is something that we do from time to time. It is just that now, especially with the World Ocean Day and having been exposed this morning, that we would want them to take it on in a more aggressive way now.
And Sandals Public Relations Manager David Hines encouraged the children not to litter, especially on the beach.
The biggest part for me would personally be littering. When I go to the beach with the snacks or whatever, just use the garbage bins and don't discard them in the sand or in the water. As you know, plastic confuses turtles and other marine life and is actually quite dangerous to them. So if they can take that part of the lesson today, along with the other points, that one for me, I would think it would be a success.
Well, meantime, some 40 primary school children are now more aware of the importance of energy and water conservation. It comes as they participated in the Future Center Trust and Scotiabank World Environment Day Art Contest. Executive Director of the Future Center Trust, Cherise Gibson, described the competition as tight, noting that the entries were well done. She was speaking at an award ceremony held at Scotiabank in Haggett Hall.
Last year, I think we had more entries last year. However, I would say that the quality has continued to improve year to year. So even where we may not have as many entries, you can see the effort that was put in. Some years previously, we would have had entire classes make a project of it. So that's why the numbers would have been so high, because you would get 30 entrants from one school. But this year, we saw a few less, but the quality was there.
And still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, a reminder